So as y'all know, I'm part of the generation Gen Z. Best generation there is, you know what I'm saying? And as someone that's part of this generation, you know what I'm saying? I can confidently say that we as Gen Z have the most privilege out of any generation that came before us because we have the most opportunities. You know, we have technology, we have knowledge, we have resources, we have a lot of things in our disposal that will make us more efficient and more successful than the generation that came before us. You know, millennials, you know, boomers, all them niggas, all them old ass niggas, you know what I'm saying? As a Gen Z, I feel like we have the best shot so far yet. And to be honest, a lot of good things are coming our generation. You know, we have period, a lot of good things. But of course, with good things, there also are bad things. And as someone that grew up in this generation where it's predominantly ran by technology and the internet, we grew up with that. You know what I'm saying? We grew up with the internet. As someone that was raised in this generation, I can say that we have a lot of struggles, a lot of different struggles. And one of the biggest struggles I say we have as this generation is relationship. It's no surprise that we are having more issues with relationships and, dating and shit in our generation than the generation that came before us and the generation that came before that generation. Because, we are feeding off what we have learned and what we have, experienced in our life. And on top of that, the internet, the surge of social media, the internet, all this whole bunch of, different, factors that come into play when dealing with dating and when dealing with the opposite sex. A lot of things play into that, and that can honestly hurt us in the long run because a lot of things have not been proven, a lot of things have not been tested. We don't know a lot, and we don't know enough of what we have right now to actually say, oh yeah, this generation has a really good chance of, dating with all that's going on right now, especially with the whole, the cough, the pandemic that happened a few years, it took up a few of our years, you know what I'm saying? So that also has a major impact of our social skills and our, dating life. The trend that we've been noticing throughout time with the generation that comes after us, the generation that always comes after, is that the generation that comes after tends to be in less relationships. There tend to be less successful relationships, and less people are also having sex than the generation that came before. And I'm not just talking on my ass, bro. I got stats, I got data to back this up. Data that I found from the Insider can back this up. And they said they found that 30% of the young adults studied had casual sex in 2007. And that number dropped to 24% in 2017. You see by the data, bro, like 30% of young adults in '07 had casual sex. Like that was in '07. That was when millennials were running this shit. And now fast forward 10 years later, that shit dropped down by 14%. And why is that? That's exactly what we're here to talk about today. Today, we're going to talk about all the different reasons of why, young adults, people in my generation, are having less sex or in less relationships now compared to back then, and how that all plays into the idea of this generation, the generation that I'm in, my generation, are more lonely than the previous generation, and how it's only going to get worse as we go down the line of the generations that come after us, and how this generation is the loneliest generation that we've seen yet. So without further ado, you already know what time it is, man. Let's get into this shit. So how I even came up with this idea was I've been noticing this trend for a while. I had seen blogs, videos, different articles about how generations that are coming after are continuing to be more lonely and more lonely, you know what I'm saying? And as someone that's a Gen Z, I can 1,000% vouch for this. More and more people in my generation are becoming lonely. The generation that will come after us, they're gonna be more lonely than us, and that trend will continue to go on. And my nigga, I'm popping out with big guns today, you know what I'm saying, bro? I got this other data right here from Statista, and it shows this bar graph of each generation and the percentage of adults from that generation that feels lonely. You see that boomers 50%, and it keeps going up to millennials, which is 71%, Gen Z 79%, and this is upward trajectory of people feeling lonely right here. It even says 61% of all U.S. adults reported feeling lonely, which is up to 7% from last year. So what is going on, bro? Like, what is going on with people nowadays being more lonely? You know, my generation sucking at dating and all that, bro. Like, all this is happening, but what is the cause of it, right? Say no more, my dog. I've been looking into this for a while, and I gather some points, some reasons of why this is an upward trajectory of people being lonely, especially in my generation, Gen Z, why more people are lonely and more people will continue to feel lonely. God, and y'all notice how everyone nowadays is awkward as fuck, bro. Like, out of the pandemic, bro, we came straight from the pandemic. Niggas don't know how to talk no more, bro. Like, niggas just don't know how to communicate no more. Niggas don't know how to talk. Niggas don't know how to hold a conversation, bro. You go into a social gathering, everyone is on their phones now, bro. Like, what is going on? Like, niggas just don't know how to talk no more like they used to back then, bro. You see two people go on a date, fool, and like the whole time, I kid you not, the whole time, full day is on their phones, just texting each other fucking memes or some shit. I don't know, but like, you just see niggas just don't know how to conversate now. First thing I got is the reason why my generation is now more lonely than ever before, and why we suck ass at dating is because we have these really unrealistic standards. And I know you probably seen it before on TikTok, on Twitter, and all that shit, bro. Women have these unrealistic standards for men. Ooh, oh my gosh. Like, you see a girl asking for a nigga that has, you know, that makes six figures, that is at least 6 feet tall, fucking 8-inch dick, social charisma, fucking funny as hell, all this shit, handsome as shit, motherfucking drives a scat pack nigga. Like, you here scratching your head like, goddamn, bro, like, girl, I'm just me, bro. I'm just me, bro. Like, I'm pushing the '04 Corolla. Like, I'm 5'9". I work at Wendy's, bro. Like, bro, cool it on me. Like, just chill on me. Give a nigga a shot. But on some real shit though, like, we expect our partner to, like, our potential partner or future partner to be this perfect person, to have everything checked out on a box. Everything, just this perfect crafted image, this fucking 99 overall player. Like, you expect that out of your partner when you yourself are not that. You are not that. And I'm a firm believer that you are who you attract. You know what I'm saying? You are the person that you attract in your life. You attract the energy that you put out. You know what I'm saying? Law of attraction. You getting these like 4 out of 10 looking ass bitches, or women out here getting these like ain't shit ass niggas, maybe that is indicative of who you are. Have you thought of that before? Have you ever thought of that? Women expect to get all these fucking things from a nigga when she herself or is nowhere close to being that. And she don't even look all that good to be demanding for that shit, bro. And a nigga will expect to be bagging hella bitches when a nigga isn't even self-improving on himself. Like, he isn't improving his looks, his financial circumstances, you know, physical, like how his body, he ain't self-improving at all, but he expect bitches to be on his dick. Like, we have all these unrealistic standards for one another, and it's getting to a point where these standards are just so absurd, where it's like you are doing more harm for yourself than good. Like, you are pushing away potential opportunities because you don't want to settle. Like, bitch, shut up. Like, go with that nigga that makes 60K a year. It's worse because social media inflates these standards. Like, you see women out here, you know, with a nigga that makes 800,000 a year, bro. Fucking a nigga that's 6'7", all that shit, bro. And you used to like, oh, they have a perfect relationship, you know, a nigga with all these Instagram models, these bad bitches that fucking ass full of silicone and shit, bro. Like, Instagram really just like inflates these standards and really clogs our mind of what is actually real. Speaking of Instagram and social media shit, my next point is social media. Social media has done more harm to my generation than good. I swear it has. And although I said this before in like a couple of my videos, you know, although I feel like social media itself isn't a problem, like social media, there's nothing wrong with social media in and of itself. Like, it's a great tool to connect with people and shit. It's just the way that we use it is just so damaging to us. Our mental health, our our emotional health, all that shit is just so damaging, bro. And we feel more isolated from using these tools that's supposed to bring us together. People constantly comparing themselves to one another, people looking at these perfect relationships when you don't even know homeboy probably beating on his wife or shorty probably sucking 5 other niggas at the same time, bro. You don't know what is going on with these relationships. But these posts make it seem like, oh my God, these are relationship goals or whatever. Like, these are perfect ass relationships. It's just unhealthy how we use it, how we, gain this sort of confidence from being on social media, likes and all that shit, bro, that we actually don't know how to conversate in real life. Like, people with hundreds of thousands of likes, bro, awkward as shit in person, bro. Awkward as fucking person. Don't know how to hold a conversation that saved their life. We place so much emphasis on social media that we don't build our actual real life repertoire. We don't actually build that shit up because we think social media is real. We think that social media is the real thing. And we just get that sort of shit confused and mixed up in our brain. And that just causes us to be lonely. That causes us to be lonely because we don't actually form true bonds, true relationships, true like connections with each other. A woman will think, oh, look at all these niggas in my DMs. Look at all these niggas in my DMs. I'm a high value woman, or like, or some bullshit like that, bro. And it's like, bruh, it's so backwards how we think with social media. It's so fucking backwards, and it's literally rotting our brains. Completely just rotting our brains, absolutely, and just doing more harm than good nowadays. And like I said, I ain't just talking out my ass, bro. I got things to even back it up, bro. I got things to back it up. After examining other data, the researchers believe decreased alcohol consumption, social media scrolling, increased video game playing, and young adults living with parents for longer periods of time led to the 40% drop over the 10-year period. So you know what I'm talking about, like the 40% drop, less people are having sex nowadays, 07 to 2017, is based off reasons like this. Like social media is a playing factor into this. The next point I want to say is that we don't understand one another, bro. We just don't understand one another, like men to women, women to men. We just don't understand one another, like fundamentally, bro. I understand, whoop-de-woo, men are logical, women are emotional, whatever, right? But it's like we don't empathize with the struggles that we go through on our day-to-day basis. Like, it's always a comparison. It's always men versus women, woman versus man, all that shit, bro. It's always just such a a competition. Like, we're supposed to work together as a team, but it's constantly like, who does this, who does this. Like, the whole argument of who's the prize in a relationship is so fucking stupid to me. It's so dumb in my opinion, because is the prize really the man or woman? Is that really the prize in the relationship? How about the prize is we're having a great bonding, relationship? How about the prize is we're building a family together? Why isn't that not the prize? How about the prize is us having children? Why is that no longer the prize? But it's always, oh, I do more in the relationship. That means I'm the prize, or I'm a better. I'm like, I look good in the relationship. Like, all that bullshit, bro. It's like, why do we think like this? Why is this our thinking? Why is this how we operate on a cognitive level? Why do we always have to compare one thing to another? Why is it always like a competition? Why do we always have to bump heads with one another? Like, why? Why is it like that? Like, we're so focused on ourselves that we completely like neglect other people, our partner, people that are mean something in our lives, our partner trying to do good for us. We don't actually try to empathize what they go through, or just try to like come together, try to form, you know, a working team, like a functional family or a functional relationship. It's always about what I can do versus, or what she can do. Is always so these selfish ass motives and like ideas is always gonna end up leaving us more lonely than actually trying to come together and form a team. You see the selfish mindset all on social media. I swear, social media niggas just snitch on themselves for no reason. You see this mindset all over social media, TikTok, Twitter. Come on, we see this all the time, all day, every day, right? And it's hurting us, bro. We're gonna be ending up lonely shit. Like, it's not doing no good to no one. My next point is that we cope with loneliness through relationships. I know you're probably wondering, like, why is this a point? Like, okay, so we're getting into relationships, right? We're getting into relationships. That means, the loneliness problem is getting fixed. We're actually getting into relationships because we're lonely and now we're in relationships, right? That is a bad way of looking at relationships. If you look at relationship as like a way to cope with your loneliness, bro, you're only putting that burden onto your partner, and you're only going to create that issue within that relationship, and that relationship will end up falling apart. Because this is how it happens, right? You're lonely as shit. You get into a relationship, right? You're lonely as shit, so you get into a relationship. That relationship is basically the holding factor of your sanity. Your sanity, and without that relationship, it's like almost like you are back into that, you're back into that mindset of loneliness again, right? So use this relationship as a coping mechanism. That loneliness will manifest within the relationship because you never address the actual issue, but that issue will manifest within the relationship, and then you end up breaking up with your partner, and now you're back more lonely than you were before you even got into the relationship, because the core problem was not fixed. You only are damaging yourself getting to these relationships because you're lonely. You should not be getting into relationships because you're lonely. That's the last thing you should do. People swear that they should get into a relationship just because they're lonely and they find someone that, takes away that loneliness and that makes them feel like they're complete. You should not feel like you are completed by the relationship. You should not feel complete because you're in a relationship now. You should already be complete as you are, and then get into a relationship because you want to, create that sort of bond with another person, and like I said, manifest a family. Not because you're lonely and you need this relationship to complete you. So you use this relationship as a crutch, right? You use this relationship literally as just another crutch. And this relationship will leave you more lonely than you were before you got into a relationship. Because once this person leave you, it's like taking candy from a baby. It's like taking a fucking drug from a drug addict. It's like, bro, you're gonna go crazy because you were already at this down bad position before you got into the relationship. And my last point I got for y'all is growing up in a single parent household. Me, as someone that has experience living in a single parent household, right? I can definitely say that it definitely has a negative effect on you. It can definitely have a negative effect on you, especially if you never had that dynamic of two people being in the house, that man and woman in the household. You never had that sort of, masculine and feminine dynamic go along with each other, bro. Your whole idea of what, a relationship should look like is already going to be damaged. You're already going to be off on a bad start. Because our first relationship that we ever experienced in our life, before we even see relationships on TV or our friends getting in a relationship, is the relationship with our parents' relationship. That's the very first relationship we ever see, bro. And if you don't see that shit like that, fundamental, like that very pivotal point in your life where you see how your parents interact with each other, if you don't see that, see how they handle conflict, how they handle, stress, how they handle, dealing with children, how they handle everything, how they, express their love with each other, you don't see that growing up, bro, that will majorly impact your dating circumstance as you get older. And of course, this will lead you to become lonely as you grow up, only dealing with one parent. That one parent's probably working their ass off, trying to pay for the household shit and all that. Bruh, you're gonna end up being more isolated, feeling more alone, because now you don't have anyone to give you that supervision, no one to give you that guidance, and no one to lead you down that path of how you're supposed to live. And you're just going to use other resources, other sources, your friends, your neighborhood, all that, social media, TV, all that shit, for you to dictate how you should live. Of course, my generation, we have it bad because, the generation before us, they already started going through those, relationship problems. And my generation has to suffer because of that, growing up in single parent households, and now we're facing those same problems with, that the other generation has faced. As we get older and we have children, right, we're already facing more relationship problems than the previous generation. That means there are going to be more households that are only going to be ran by a single parent. that means the next generation is going to have it even worse than we did. And it's this generational curse that we live in. It's very important to experience that two-parent household dynamic. And a few videos ago, I made our stepfather simps, right? One of the points in that video I made is that I said stepfathers are heroes in families, because instead of that child to only be raised by a single parent or only be raised by one person, there is now two people. Although it might not be their biological parent, it's still a good enough replacement where that child can understand what it's like to live in a two-parent household and see that male and female dynamic. Like I said, that's very important into dating and seeing how your parents interact with each other. And an if study, it said a 2021 survey found that more than half, 52% of Americans raised by the divorced parents felt lonely at least once or twice a month growing up. In contrast, only a third, 33%, of Americans raised by married parents say the same. And we got this chart right here where children are asked how often they feel lonely. And we compare the two different households, right? We got the single parent household on the right and the two-parent household on the left. And you see a massive, like, complete difference. Like, you see a night and day difference, bro. You see where it says raised by married parents is way less people feeling lonely. It's just way less people, and that's just a fact, bro. So in conclusion, man, so as someone that's part of this generation, I can definitely say I am guilty of some of the things I've mentioned. I have lived in a single parent household for a while, had social media fuck me up, all this shit, man. And I've definitely experienced my fair share of loneliness, you know what I'm saying? I've experienced my fair share of loneliness, and I feel like it's only getting worse and worse. It's only gonna be more prominent in newer generations. And it's just this cycle, this generational curse. It's already bad for my generation right here. It says 73% of Gen Z report feeling alone either sometimes or always, the highest level of any generation, bro. But of course, I don't have all the answers, I'm just little old me. I'm just little old me, you know what I'm saying? And although I do hope for the best, you gotta be prepared for the worst, man, because we don't know what the fuck's gonna happen with the newer generation, bro. It's gonna be way worse than this, bro. Niggas are gonna be so, like, isolated. People are just gonna be so alone, bro. It's gonna be to a point where a lot of us, hate to say it, but a lot of us are gonna die alone, bro. A lot of us are actually gonna just never find love in our life. Just gonna be alone forever. And that's gonna, it's gonna be terrible, bro. It's gonna be terrible. I don't have all the answers, bro. I don't know where to start with this shit, bro. But at some point, bro, we have to all come together and just, like, try to understand one another and go back to how shit used to be, like, be more of an actual community, actually address the problem at hand. And this is a big epidemic, and there isn't just this one solution that's gonna fix everything, because this isn't caused just by one thing. There's multiple reasons why, we're more lonely than ever before. But we have to do something about it, bro. We have to find a way to, all come together and shit, bro. But I don't got all the answers, my nigga. I swear, I don't got all the answers, you know what I'm saying? But I want to spread this awareness, because I feel like it's getting bad now. It's getting real, real bad with my generation, bro. A lot of us are never going to experience true love. Just keeping it real, a lot of us are not going to experience no true love in our life. A lot of us are going to die alone, and that's just the reality of it, bro. But we have to, if we do something to fix it, maybe, just maybe, just maybe we have a fighting chance, just maybe. But, like, shit, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Yeah, that's basically the whole video, bro. That's everything I wanted to talk about, bro. Appreciate y'all for watching this shit. You know what I'm saying? Catch y'all later, bro.